Sports Interaction is your home for NHL playoff betting. Before the game starts, live in play, or how your favorite player will perform. Canada plays at SIA. Doing it right since 1997. With the most competitive odds, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. I can already imagine for Avalanche fans. We're not saying they're going to blow it. If they find a way to mangle this up, it will be worse than last year against the Vegas Golden Knights. They won the first two games, and then Vegas just kind of came through and won the next four. But the Avs were up 3-0 on the Blues and had a golden opportunity to close out that series. And even as the Blues came back, Nathan MacKinnon, and I want to focus more on that goal at some point too, but Nathan MacKinnon getting a hat trick. One of the best performances we've seen, one of the best single game performances we've seen in this year's postseason, and they still can't do it. If I'm an Avs fan, I am frustrated beyond hell.
Well, and how about Tyler Bozak scoring the overtime winner, man?
Wow.
He's been on the bench for like 2 straight hours or something. I mean, it's for fans of a certain vintage, it's like, was it Peter Klima that scored an overtime?
Peter Klima.
Stanley Cup final games, 1990, and he hadn't had a shift in like multiple periods. There's a triple overtime winner, I believe. That's part of the playoffs too. I think it's not that Tyler Bozak's necessarily an unsung hero. He's been in the league a long time, was part of their cup win in St. Louis in 2019. But, someone who hasn't played a lot of, has to make a play, has to come up and find a moment. And, that's a cool one for him, especially if St. Louis finds a way to come back and win the series. I mean, that's probably go down as the biggest goal he's ever scored. So, I love the way that the context switches and moves around in the playoff series. And certainly that one that didn't look like maybe it was going to be that interesting is maybe interesting for the wrong reasons, right? We're talking about, the crap that Nazem Kadri is dealing with, the big game that he had in game 4, but now, the focus is on two teams that might have a way of surprising us in a positive way if you're St. Louis, or in a negative way if you're Colorado here.
That MacKinnon goal, end to end, the speed, the zone entry, the way he's controlling the puck, and it almost kind of looks like he's scoring it from between his legs. The finish, the jump into the glass, the celebration. Like, I'm sad it's not a game-winning goal. That should go down, and I hope it still does, as one of the greatest playoff goals we have ever seen. Like, I truly believe that.
Poor Nick Leddy's placed on a poster on that one. Not that it's his fault. I mean, when Nathan MacKinnon is full speed, like that's like facing down a freight train. Like, what are you going to do? Do you remember the clip? I think it was Alex Pietrangelo was mic'd up when they played the outdoor game, and MacKinnon was coming at full speed. He's just like, whoa, like what do you possibly do? We were talking about you could be one of the best defensemen in the league, and there's only so much you can do to impede him legally. You're trying not to take a penalty in that situation too, right? It's a close game in the third period, and the way he just tucked it in, pretty small, spot at the top of the net. That's as good as it gets. I mean, what a season we've had for highlights. I mean, if you just, even if you're not watching games, even if you're just waking up in the morning and watching YouTube clips, like it's been a season where you're seeing just amazing performances, amazing moments. McDavid had a few unbelievable goals. We've seen Cale McCarter in the regular season. I'm thinking of the goal in Chicago he scored. It was just ridiculous. We've had the Michigan pass. We've had some lacrosse goals. You had this MacKinnon goal. I mean, this is the talent of the league is on full display, and Nathan MacKinnon belongs in that. And, if we're going to cast ahead, a McDavid-MacKinnon playoff series in the conference final would be something. Now, it requires Edmonton to get the job done and Colorado to get the job done, but it's sitting right there in front of us as a possibility.
I'm telling you, man, it's going to be fun. It's if we get that. Like, I know a lot of us in the hockey world, we did everything we could to beg and plead for a Battle of Alberta. But an Edmonton, Colorado series, like, I want that so bad. I want to see 2 of the 3 best players, probably number 1 and maybe number 3, go at each other in a playoff series. Maybe it goes completely Colorado's way because they might be a little bit more stacked, but we can't sleep on the Edmonton Oilers with the way that they've looked in this postseason. Evander Kane going off with the goals that he scored, and all the other players, Connor McDavid, Leon
no
Draisaitl.
one should be sleeping on the Oilers now, man. Like, This is not total fluke. I mean, you're having couple of the best players in the league, and McDavid and Draisaitl go to another level. You've had other big performances. Mike Smith, I know he let in the long goal, but he's been pretty solid for them, all things considered. And Edmonton played Colorado hard during the regular season. Like they took it to them at times, and they're one of the few teams that had some success against the Avalanche. And so that doesn't guarantee us anything, of course, but I think we'd get a series. And the cool part of a McDavid MacKinnon series is that neither of these guys have been in that moment. Like if they get there, they're both playing for their first chance to advance to a Stanley Cup final. I mean, that the stakes being that high, them being in the primes of their careers. I mean, both players can score a goal like the one we saw MacKinnon score last night. Both guys can go end to end. They're rush attackers essentially. And, I just think it would be, it's as close as we can almost get to like a Magic Bird kind of feel in hockey. And obviously hockey is not just two guys head to head. I mean, you could have that series and neither of them might score a goal. I mean, it's just the weird nature of the way things can go in the playoffs in the NHL. But I just think that the stage there would be magnificent. And I'm with you. I don't cheer for a team in this. We already know our Florida Panthers bet's been ripped up and gone to shreds. So we're not backing anyone formally on this podcast, but just for the kind of theater of it, I would love to see those guys head to head in a playoff series carrying those kind of ramifications.
You nailed it. The theater of it all. Like I root for the theater and for fun and for excitement. Like an Edmonton, Colorado series would objectively be more fun or at least more anticipated than a Calgary St. Louis conference final. Great for those fan bases if their teams find a way to get there. We could still see a great series between two good teams if that happens, especially if they battle back from the deficits that they're in. But Edmonton, Colorado, with the marquee superstars on either team, it's way easier to sell than Calgary St. Louis.
Sure, and let's be clear here. We don't hate your favorite team. If you're in Calgary or St. Louis
we
right now,
do not.
I really don't have anything riding on this at all. I'm just watching the games like everybody else at this point. But I'm with you. I mean, I think it'd be a cool moment for the NHL. The sport, it's a hard sport to sell the stars, but I think we're trying to get there a little bit more. And that series, I think, does hype itself, sell itself. And all you need is one or two goals like the one we saw last night or something. Big moments from those guys. And you've seen so many big moments already from Connor McDavid. Like, it's not just that he's put up all those points. I think like the way he's putting them up matters to the context here. And it's just been a human highlight reel. Like, I hope someone out there has just clipped together all his points in the playoffs. I'd actually watch that right now because I can remember off the top of my head a few of the goals and assists he's had have just been unreal. And to see them stacked one against each other, it's like every night he's giving you something. It's really been special to watch.
Someone at the NHL surely has to be doing that. That's easy. They should be just doing that every time Connor McDavid does something. That's easy. That's an easy assignment.